Good evening and welcome to another version of Shine Like a North Star. The whole goal today is to really give us a pause together to think about how we can create our new reality as we migrate through this normal that is not so normal. And I've been asking other people about some suggestions for topics that we could maybe dive into. So we have looked at change management and really keeping in mind those first three stages of change management: shared need, shared vision, and then mobilizing change. And the last couple of sessions of Shine Like a North Star, we have talked about how to use data to really kind of create a case for a shared need, and then creating the shared vision based on what the data is. And finally, we talked a little bit last time around how you can use that data to really assess best culture. Culture is one of those tricky beasts to really pin down. I say it sometimes like pinning Jello on a wall. And of course, in last week's video, we also had the infamous bug, the perfect dog, be a part of our show, and the very irritating squeaky ball. So today, new environment, new backdrop, and unfortunately my dog isn't with me, but we are still here shining like a North Star. One of the suggestions for tonight's topic was to really think through how leaders can develop their emotional quotient and what's commonly referred to as EQ. And so I want to spend a little bit of time sharing some insights that I have about helping leaders work and develop their emotional intelligence. So you'll know that there are four broad, real high level emotional intelligence categories: self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, and relationship management. So it's neat how all of these concepts, when we kind of talk about developing intentionally our new reality, and really the work of my company, which is helping adults get along well and work and play well in the sandbox together, you start seeing how these ideas of, you're intelligent, you see things, you see these opportunities in whatever workplace or home setting that you have, and then gathering data to elevate those things. And even then, brilliant insights and compelling data really doesn't make much of a case unless you have some emotional intelligence skills. So when I think broadly, and I've said this in a bunch of facilitation things that I've done lately, is that, I see the self-management of leadership just more and more being such a staple to how people show up and how they thrive in their environments. So when we think about self-management, it's, being open to listening. Oh, that's a hard one, especially when things are chaotic and, well, frankly, you have some great ideas and you're right, and you still have to manage yourself to listen to others. Self-management also comes in when other people, tick you off. I've been saying for years, just recognize when you're pushing a boulder. And, anytime you're trying to get the change through, trying to push something, trying to push that boulder uphill, just recognize it. Have the self-discipline to kind of go, man, my forehead is bruised trying to push this boulder up and it keeps bouncing back on my forehead. Why is that? Or sometimes we do more of our best side in creating whatever change we want to have happen. I was working with a company recently and we were talking about some different communication strategies to really help everyone get along well and thrive. And this was a company that I'm super proud of. They've done some really great work in their leadership team, and now it's sort of trickling out to their clients. And if anybody's in any kind of service industry, or, well, if you have anybody else at home with you and you've interacted with anybody on the face of the earth, COVID has made people a little bit crazier. And so this company was using some of these communication strategies and talking through what it's like with some of their clients. In particular, we were doing some diversity and inclusion work. And I kind of said to them, yeah, no doubt you're pulling out your most charming, charismatic, clean communication, compelling mission about how the company really wants to interact with the world. And it wasn't really necessarily getting them the results they want. So we had to kind of pull together and kind of go, what does that chameleon leadership look like? Where you kind of adjust to whatever the situation is. And so we talked about how that self-management really comes into play on determining more of my best side is not really going to make it better necessarily, right? If your good side was already good enough, then those clients would be totally on board. Adults would be working well together in the workplace, all that stuff. So we switched angles entirely and started looking at How can we tell stories differently? How can we pull in some of these clients? Really having discussions with the president around like, what messages am I allowed to share that really align with our true north, right? So all of that good work started with people first recognizing I'm aware enough to realize that my best side isn't getting me the results I want, right? Me pushing that boulder isn't gonna go anywhere no matter how hard I push. So we think of self-awareness coming up in a bunch of ways. First of all, it's that the self-management that I think fuels self-awareness. You could argue it the other way, honestly. I mean, emotional intelligence is so critical in all the work we do. And so how does our self-management to sort of not just react and blindly push things forward, create a self-awareness that we can kind of use to know how we're interacting with the world? And arguably, maybe you have that self-awareness of what's going on first that then changes your self-management. I see more and more in the coaching and consulting work that I do that first pit is self-management, like just slow down before you have that knee-jerk reaction. That's management. And when you slow down is when some of that self-awareness can really come to fruition and some clarity. So I'm thinking of some other clients that I've worked with, they're talking about burnout and fatigue. They're even physicians that I work with. It's real. We're caught in the spin of things just happening fast, the new reality coming into play before we've maybe intentionally designed it. Some people are, on the real early adoption scale of like using masks and being really conservative. And then you have other people that are not there. I mean, there's just so many examples of how we can be polarized in how we approach the work and, create situations where maybe we don't get along well with everybody as well as we want. So that self-management is critical in you having the discipline to kind of pull back and slow down in the middle of that vortex. Slow down that spin and see what's going on, right? Collect data, look at it objectively. Use that data and your wisdom that you'll get from being open to understanding, because you are just slowing down. You are self-managing. You're not just knee-jerk pushing the boulder because you know that your change is right. And I'm confident that it is, right? Best made plans. So our wisdom in today's work of Shine Like a North Star is really about that idea of you being your best by slowing down. I see there's a comment on here that helping people take chances they normally would not, leadership can help them take the first steps. Of course. And how often do we see leaders just jumping ahead of maybe somebody who's willing or almost ready to take the first step? And because that leader lacks the self-management, they're caught in the spin, we got to get stuff done. They just pummel forward and do things, and then they've missed this opportunity for the employee to feel empowered, to grow the employee, and more importantly, one less task for that employee, for the leader to do long term. So how powerful. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that really, when we slow down and we self-manage and we look at things, you will see there are people around you that want to share the load. That's where their inspiration comes from. Your burnout happens when you just keep doing the same stuff and we don't get creative. I think a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that book called Stretch by Sun and Shine, I believe. Heard it on Brené Brown's series Unlocking Us. And the premise of the book, it's a professor from Rice University. He kind of talks about this polarized concept before COVID even happened, that people are like grabby, do more, better, faster, bigger. And that's kind of our reaction when we're caught in that vortex and that spin. And then you sort of have this other approach, mindset, is really about being stretchy. Like I've got a limited set of resources and I need to use them differently. I need to look at them differently. We don't get to a stretchy part unless we slow down and have that self-management and really giving ourselves permission to reflect. I mean, sometimes in our just burnout, and I see, some other comments about people just seeing a lot of burnout, lack of resilience. And of course, it's a crazy time. And how often are we just coming home, making some quick dinner and just going brain dead in front of the TV, right? Well, there's a difference between like numbing yourself in front of the TV and watching something that's rejuvenating or relaxing, or maybe just not for a few minutes. Just walk the dog 5 minutes longer, or just take that little bit of breathing, or I've got a friend that we only write letters to each other, like in Canada Post sort of mail, only letters to each other. Those times are super rejuvenating, and I tease her all the time because she can take, honestly, like 2 or 3 weeks to finish a letter, but it's little bits at a time, right? Where does that self-management come for you? As a leader, maybe you could do the job that's in front of you. If you had the self-management to pause, look at who's maybe open, who wants to grow and learn how to do that work. In the long haul, you're going to be doing less. Now, of course, I make it sound super easy. I get that. I'm just challenging us to think about how we design our new normal. What does that look like? You have the clarity within you to self-manage and slow down and look at the data around you, to use that to really create a vision that not only fits what you need, but helps the people around you play well together in the sandbox. Love to see so many people on. I see Gina's quoted something that I say all the time, which is you have to go slow to go fast, right? Recognize when you're pushing that boulder, it's not going anywhere. It's not even moving slowly, right? So try a different tactic. You're right, Kristen, that we're in a go, go, go world. It's not healthy. And so, lots of people have commented. I see some of the comments tonight, which is wonderful. I love the thumbs up and the hearts and the everything that you're sending. Thank you. And really, I'm with you in this journey. It's a crazy time, and we're together. We're better together, and we're better slower. So look at your own self-management, and somewhere on that journey, give yourself permission to pause and create that openness where you're really looking at what's happening around you. You're collecting objective data, and you're giving yourself a space to kind of regroup. We need you. We need you to help us get wherever we need to be to shine like a North Star. Thank you for joining. My name is Carrie Burchell. I'm a consultant with North Star Coaching, and I would love to be a part of your journey, whether it's just two colleagues chewing the fat together. Feel free to reach out on Facebook or through my company's website, or maybe there's some consulting work too. At the end of the day, we need each other, and we need to play well together to do the work that needs to be done. So have a wonderful day. I see someone's appreciating their quiet time right now more than ever, shutting the TV off. Maybe it's just 2 minutes. Maybe it's walking that beautiful dog of yours a couple minutes longer. Have a great night, everyone, and know that I'm with you. Bye.
You're just amazing.
It's not off yet, Mom, but it's so fun that you were part of that.